Kahnawake Ratsénhaienhs Ross Montour here to speak with you at this time. You know, the number one, we had a lovely snowstorm last night, and I hope everybody's got things shoveled out and taken care of, and that everybody's health is in good order. The best wishes to all of the community in terms of health, family, and so on. I think that's a primary thing right now. I mean, we're looking at coming somewhat out of the state of emergency. We're not and looking towards the future, and ultimately, you know, like the ability to be able to meet face to face in terms of community engagements, so on and so forth. These are things that we're talking about at the council table. Is how do we move out of the pandemic, move into a more normalized state of life. I don't know what, you know, the idea of normal. I think that there's going to be an adjustment to that. I mean, I kind of think maybe the masks and so on will be a continuing thing. Enough of that. The thing that I really wanted to talk about is that because it has been a controversy in the last little while, and last week on the Party Line talk show, Wataru, Chief Mike DeLille addressed it also, but I want to address it also from my own perspective, and that is the concern that was expressed, you know, in social media and so on, in terms of the meaning of meeting of Crown Indigenous Relations. Mark Miller, who was formerly with the ISK, Indigenous Services Canada Ministry. We had the meeting with Mark Miller, and it's important to know because the controversy was, you know, what we were doing, that we were signing agreements, the move to a state of municipalization, you know, language like ethnic municipalization has been out there. There are people that talk about that, but just to reassure the community that the messaging that went to Minister Miller when we met with him recently was that, and this is talking as the lead for Kahnawake Canada Relations, which we sent them away. I'll use the term, we sent them packing last term because we have an acceptable state of relationship in terms of the people who we were talking to and exactly what we were talking about. That involves also the scenery and the need for those things to be separate issues. So in our meeting with Minister Miller, now on about 2 weeks ago, almost this Friday, it was made clear to him, you know, that the discussion about, you know, the so-called by the government rights and recognitions tables is not something that as the Mohawks of Kahnawake we're interested in sitting at based on what their goals are in terms of that. We're not asking them for delegated authority in terms of self-determination. The messaging that we gave to the minister is that we're already actively involved in the process of self-determination. And so that needed to be understood, that we are not sitting at, and I use the language termination tables because it's been out there in social media that those tables are termination tables, and we are not interested in sitting at any kind of a termination table. We're not talking about, you know, sitting at that table in terms of what the government has put forth in terms of how those kinds of discussions should take place coming out of the Indian Act, and that they need to understand that. And so there was some commitment on the part of the minister that he would look and see what could be done, what they could be done in terms of that, and what maybe could not be. But that will be an ongoing discussion and an ongoing debate. I can assure the community that in terms of my own involvement with that, nothing has been signed. We're not even close to that. And it's not even the discussion that's saying like we're going to conclude some sort of self-government agreement under the terms that Canada has been putting across in so many tables. So I just wanted to say that to begin. The other thing I wanted to touch on is because it has been occupying an awful lot of my time on council, is the struggle on a number of different fronts to defend our jurisdiction in the area of gaming, which also includes the defense of Mohawk Online Kahnawake as a viable social, economic venture. It is a business that we have, and we have a partnership. And as the community may already know, that the other partners that we had been dealing with, which is known as Avid, was purchased by Entain, which is probably the largest internet gaming company in the world. They're publicly traded. They're a multi-billion-dollar business. And in terms of struggle, we're having a struggle with Ontario in terms of conduct and manage, which is, I realize it's a lot of material to sort of get across in 5 minutes and less than 5 minutes. But the work is continuing in terms of we have a battle with Ontario and how they're looking at the recent amendment to the criminal code allowing for single sports betting. We're working with one of the senators, Senator MJ McCauley, on a draft legislation, private members bill, to actually address the issue of jurisdiction for Indigenous nations in the area of gaming, which was really we were left out of the loop on. And we were ultimately unsuccessful in getting that carve out during the legislative process. But she was very, very good. She's a Cree lady from Manitoba who is a senator and has been a champion of what we're trying to do. And what we're trying to do there is build confederation with other Indigenous nations in order to achieve that carve out and recognition of jurisdictions for First Nations in terms of the area of gaming. The issue with Ontario, we had a meeting last night with Chief Mark Hill and members of his council about the recent accord that was signed just this week between himself and Grand Chief Kahnawake Deer in terms of coming together as two Hawaii communities, nations, okay, to also engage in the battle to have recognition within the province of Ontario, which is the largest market for internet gaming. So it's a really excuse me, I would say it's a pitched battle at this point, and it's a battle that we're fighting on a number of fronts. So we have, but what part of that is building coalition. Confederacy. That was one of the things I said last night, because they're looking at how it may impact other gaming monies coming from the province, but I'm saying, I said to them, we're relations, we're the same people, and we're stronger in confederacy. And the government of Ontario is not our friend. The government of Canada is not our friend in terms of policy and so on, and legal struggle. So that's something key. And those are the things I kind of want to bring up here, and hopefully there's a bit of clarity. But if anybody wants to find out more about it, then you can contact me through Mohawk Council. I will get the message and I will call you if there are any questions from any community member about the activities that I've just been talking about. I did have a call last night with a community member who had asked me about the Mark Miller meeting, and I was happy to have a conversation with her one-to-one over the phone, and to let her know where we're coming from, and that we, our interests are the interests of the rights of Kahnawake. Our interests are moving forward with our own self-determination, and that is moving forward to a return to traditional government. And so we have been engaging with traditional bodies as well. All of that is part of how we're going to get out of the Indian Act. So with that, I want to wish you all well. I wish you all the best of health. And as I said, if there's any questions, at any time you want to talk to me about any of my portfolio issues, then please contact me through the Mohawk Council of Kahnawake. I will get the message, and I would be happy to have conversation. Yamagoa for now, and we'll see you next time I come before you on Chief's Uncut.